Anubhav, I think I should say right at the start that I've watched the new film Thappad, so we'll have a conversation, I'm grateful for that because I feel like half the time we're talking about films without having watched it.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. I really want to start by saying, Anubhav, Thappad is, of course, as the trailer very clearly reveals, what happens in a marriage and around them when a man in a heated moment slaps his wife. That's the basic premise. I think it's a beautiful film, and I think everyone will discover it. I think it talks about things that are extremely important. But I want to ask you, what prompted this story? What prompted this film?
It's a lot of women that I love around me, that I have seen going through unequal relationships, and there's a lot of them, friends and some sisters and some friend's mother, and I've been because my father, I have never seen him misbehave with my mother all my life. I mean, the worst that I have seen is that he left the dining table. That's the worst that I've seen. So must be in my DNA through him, but also been watching this, and I've been very affected by it. And you know, on the surface of it, like it looks like just about domestic violence, which it is not.
It's actually not about domestic violence at all.
Yeah, it is not about that at all. It's about relationships and men and women, and so yeah, I think there's a lot of my women that I really love and adore who are there in this movie, and I would never tell them that you inspired this or you inspired that.
Correct. You know, the thing about the film which struck me while watching it is how it sort of, you bristle because it's so honest. It cuts so close to the bone. But it's also true because it's about male entitlement. It's about the casual entitlement that men feel everywhere and are in many ways completely sort of unaware of how entitled they behave. And therefore, I would imagine it requires a really sensitive mind and heart to even acknowledge this and to realize that this is a story here and there is, because what the film is also saying at some level, and I don't want to give away too much, is that the problem lies within all of us. How did you, when this became an idea that you wanted to tell, when this became a story that you wanted to tell, did you bounce it off people? How did you know that there is a film that rests in here?
I always, you know, whenever I have a one-line idea, I bounce it off people that I meet over a year, sometimes more. And this one was, the first one line was that a good husband hits his wife for the first time and she can't deal with it. And, you know, I kept telling this story to people, and everyone, I saw they were hooked. They wanted to know. And it was like, kya ho gaya phir? Will you rock the boat? So, to the extent that in my own office, there was this discussion for the longest time that after the first draft, that what is she doing?
Correct.
Will you rock the boat for a slab? And things like those. And then the same people have now converted and they say, good, we made that film. And even for people like you and me, a lot of things we do which we also subliminally are aware of, but we don't confront it. And because if we confront it, we'll have to correct it, and that is inconvenient. So, yeah.
You know, what I think is really interesting in the film is that you didn't take the easy way out. He's a good guy. The husband is actually a good guy. Yes, that happens in a heated moment. But he's not someone who's a repeat offender, so to speak. He's not someone who's abusive in the way that one thinks of abusive people. That was very important because that would have been an easy route to make him the villain, wouldn't it?
Then there's no movie, no?
That's right.
And then it's a bad guy, you reject him, you leave him. But the point is that he's a good guy. And he's not a repeat offender, like you said. So me and my co-writer Mrunmayee, so Mrunmayee at one point said, "Sir, he's too good." So I said, "What will you do if this happened to you?" So she said, "I'll forgive him." So she's a sweet girl. So I said, "So what she's doing is wrong?" So she said, "No." So I used that as a scene.
And when she's talking to the lawyer,
as a scene in the film. So, so yeah, that was a struggle because I wanted you to leave the theatre thinking, oh, he shouldn't have done that. And not saying, what a bastard. You know, then there's no point.
How did your actors get into the heads of these characters? Because these are characters with layers. She's someone who's of course standing up for herself.
Yeah.
But you're right. She runs that risk of constantly throughout the film. Is she taking it too far? I mean, come on, you can compromise. It's only a slap. And you have characters who are saying that to her repeatedly. And someone like Taapsee, who has this image of being this fiery person. You see her personality off camera. You see her personality on social media, and you realize that's not who she. A lot of the character that you see on paper is not who Taapsee must be close to. What was it like convincing these actors, and what was your brief for them to become these people?
So Taapsee and I knew from the point one that vis-a-vis her branding,
right,
kind of films she has done and the kind of person she is, she's not the perfect casting for the part.
Correct.
So we sat down and we discussed that this cannot be, like that guy cannot be a bad guy.
Yeah.
This cannot be an activist of a woman.
That's right.
So we worked on that character, even the look, and I said that should look docile.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't sure how were we going to do it. I thought she needed to put on some weight or something. And she said, wait, I'll show it to you. So one day she came to the office and she, in a corner, she called a photographer. Something she did, she clicked some 6, 7, 8 pictures and showed them to me. And I was convinced. I said, no, this works.
Right.
And so yeah, I was not looking for that activist Taapsee in that film for sure.
Right.
It would have been counterproductive.
How do you think this film is going to make both men and women feel?
It's like films like these should at best make you spend time with yourself.
Yeah.
About that,
certainly,
that matter. So if the film does that to you, even if the film takes you through some uncomfortable moments in life or with your partner, you must go through them because it'll only make it better.
Right. Another thing that I thought was very strong in the film was, and I won't give away the exact point, but you raise the stakes around the midway mark where you feel like now this is, you really raised the stakes. It feels like now she's being unreasonable. I mean, would a woman continue? What is that process like, Anubhav, and how did you discover this film? I mean, how did you, can you talk about the writing process? Because that's a great turning point in the film. And there's various ways it could go.
So Mrunmayee and I spent a lot of time together before I went off to shoot Article 15.
Right.
And so every break day, Mrunmayee would send me 8 pages, 5 pages, and I would read those pages and I'd speak to her for about an hour. And so by the time I came back, she had sort of done a sketch of the film.
Correct.
And then when I came back, I got busy again. So she went back and she wrote the first draft, which was like 130 pages, which was circulated. And everyone seemed to like it.
Right.
And then we got down to writing it together. So I was very certain this time I wanted to work with a woman co-writer.
Right.
And Mrunmayee is this Bombay girl who's comes from a celebrity home.
Correct.
But still she's at heart she's a middle class Marathi girl. So she has both the values, she knows both the values. So was very useful. And then in fact she was more in favor of making the guy a little more, because so we were constantly fighting
Correct.
with that. We were aware that if the guy becomes too good, the girl becomes bad. But if you don't do that, then the movie is not interesting enough.
Right.
So we kept doing it, and thankfully I give my scripts to a lot of people to read between 2 drafts.
Right.
And we must have done like 15 to 18 drafts, and a lot of director friends read it and they give their opinion. Then there's Anjum Rajab,
right,
who's my script consultant. So hopefully we've got it right.
I think you have. Anubhav, I think this is a question that you've been asked many times, and I think now with this third film, after Mulk and Article 15, Thappad, it's this trilogy of confronting deep-rooted prejudices and deep-rooted malaise that we have in society. You were a well-known filmmaker before that. You've made Ra.One, you've made Cash, thus. It feels like a switch went on or off. What happened after Ra.One? It seems like you just sort of changed your direction.
these films were coming to me even then.
I remember meeting you in Cannes many years ago, and I remember you had this bunch of sort of, they were like little
Played, like 8 or 9 films.
postcards, kind of, with, and there was one about the assassination of
Rajiv
Gandhi, and I remember having a lovely chat because you seemed very sincere, and then I remember leaving and thinking, but this guy's not going to make these films.
Yeah, and I didn't.
You didn't, right. So you're right. I mean, it's been there for a long time that you wanted to. What prompted the complete shift in a sense?
So misplaced sense of success. And I thought, that was success, bigger films. Now that I'm working with Shah Rukh Khan,
correct,
that's success. But when that definition failed for me, I realized that no, there's something else that's success. And which was, I remember there was one film that Vishal Bhardwaj had made. Vishal's a very old friend.
Yeah.
So I was sitting and talking to him, and I was trying to tell him that why don't you make a more commercial film? So he said something which is very interesting. I always believe I'm made up of my friends.
Right.
So this is something that Vishal doesn't know that I have stolen from him. And he said, I don't make movies for people. I make movies for myself.
Correct.
Which is a great thing to say. And I kept it with myself. So that's one of the things. Sudhir Mishra is someone I have known since the first day I came to Bombay.
Right.
I've spent a lot of time with him, and I'm very inspired by him. So of late I have spent a lot of time with him. So yeah, it's a lot of friends who I've been jealous of.
Right.
We started off together, Kashyap.
But you're also making films. I mean, these films are clearly about things that you feel very strongly about.
Yeah, so these things together, that misplaced sense of success and its failure, and then friends who I admired, I spent time with him. All these things probably fell into place and gave me enough courage to go ahead and make a film called Mulk, which I truly believed in. And that film gave me so much pleasure, and forget its success. So much pleasure because I was dealing with myself in the film.
Right.
And I was in the movie myself,
right,
which I wasn't earlier. That is quite orgasmic.
Right.
When you are seen through your film.
Are you done with escapist cinema?
I don't know. Sometimes when I see the trailer of War and the trailer of Baghi, I said, shall we do something like that? But I suspect even if I do that now, it will again be socio-political. It will have some semblance to our lives and our society and our world.
Right. I feel like having seen Mulk and Article 15, having great appreciation for them, I still feel that Thappad is a tougher film because I feel like this is a film that, in those prejudices based on religion, stereotyping based on religion or casteism, these are problems that we know about and we acknowledge and they exist and there is a constant battle to overcome those as a nation, as a society. But with Thappad, the conflict seems so, and I feel guilty to say it, so small.
Yeah.
And yet when you see the film, you understand why it's important. Were you aware of that? And was it harder to make in that sense? Because it seems like it's about something so, I don't want to use the word insignificant because that's the wrong word.
It is insignificant in our minds.
Correct, in our minds, yeah.
And the film deals with that.
Right.
Fights with that. I knew from the day one that it was going to be a very, very difficult film because, most of the film... So this is a very difficult film to write.
Yeah.
And more than that, this is by far the toughest film to shoot.
Right.
So the students of cinema will know the lensing of it, the staging of scenes, because you didn't want the film to look like Anubhav and Rajeev sitting and talking to each other.
Correct. It has to have a cinematic, yes.
And there was so much fear of that happening. So I was constantly fighting with that. So I decided I will not shoot any over-the-shoulder scenes in the film.
Right.
So the third day I decided that. And then there is no over-the-shoulder in the film.
Right.
So those things, so it was very tough. It's very tough in terms of its lensing also. I don't know if I'll make a tougher film than this ever again.
Right. And what a beautiful ensemble of supporting actors. I mean, Geetika Vidyaulyan, you have Ratna Pathak, you have Kumud Mishra, who's just so wonderful in the film, and actors whose names I don't know. I mean, the lady who plays the lawyer is such a wonderful actress.
Maya Sarao.
Just wonderful actors. Has also working within these subjects sort of allowed you to expand the universe of actors, because it feels like that started with Mulk.
Yeah.
In the manner in which you use Manoj Pahwa in Mulk.
Manoj, I've always used like that.
Correct. Can you talk about that and how they sort of how they sort of pad a film like this? I mean, you have Taapsee at this, who is the fulcrum of it, but even Pavel, who is the husband opposite her, is a face that one has seen in advertisements, but never in such a sort of central role. Why was it important to have someone who comes with no baggage of image?
Like for that part, I could have gone to a actor friend, existing
Right.
actor friend, and requested.
Correct.
It would make a better setup, so to say.
That's right.
But I did not want to carry the burden of a star in this movie. So I was very sure that I wanted to go cast a new guy.
Right.
So, and Pavel, sure, screen test.
Right.
He was not even in the country. It later turned out that he was very close to Kashyap, and Kashyap was also planning to do a film with him, and he's been working with Kashyap for some time. So that happened later, but I saw his screen test and I cast him. But Manoj Pahwa, since Seahawks, Shikast,
Right, yeah.
he's been a villain in my
Correct.
all the
Actually,
stuff.
you cast him against type even from the start, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everyone is using him as a comic actor, and you kind of
I
gave
don't
that-
find him funny at all.
Right.
but the country does.
Yeah.
I find him very menacing, and so yeah, Kumud Mishra is working with Kumud is like working with Om Puri. I don't know if you have the time, but I was first 2 days of shooting of Seahawks with Om Puri, and I told him to leave the show.
Oh, wow.
I said, you don't seem interested, and he was surprised, and he said, no, I'm very interested. I'm enjoying working with you. And then I saw his material on at the edit, and he was so good.
Right.
Then I realized that some actors wouldn't look like they're working
They're
very
doing
hard.
very hard. Right.
That happens with Kumud and Manoj
right.
both.
Yeah.
Kumud seems कि उसने कुछ किया ही नहीं यार, scene अच्छा नहीं हुआ.
Correct.
But then you see it on film and they say, how fantastic. Ratna ji, I've been wanting to. When I gave her the script, I was hoping and praying she would do it.
Because it's so against what she stands for.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
and that's the reason why she did it.
Correct.
She told me later. So Ratna ji has been, Tanvi ji.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember her since I was in college when she came in Teri Behna.
Right.
And so yeah, Maya was a discovery because I wanted to cast a girl that. So while I wanted Taapsee to be this docile girl,
Right.
Maya for
Is the
reasons
foil, yes.
reasons you know.
Yes.
I wanted her to be this strong girl.
Correct.
And so they sent me the screen test, and I saw the hair. I said, "What is this?" So Nandini, my casting
Right.
director, she said, "वो उसने ऐसे बाल कटा लिए, अभी क्या करें?" मैं कहा, नहीं,
I like it.
यही चाहिए.
Right.
So immediately I asked for her pictures, and she had just cut her hair like 2 or 4 days back.
Oh.
So that worked for me big time, and I'm really fond of her performance in the film. Yeah, all of them. I mean, I'm so thankful to Manav Kaul, who we wanted him for the part, but it was so small. I thought he wouldn't do it. I didn't know him at all. I had never met him in person. But when we were having this discussion, he saw Mulk. I was shooting Article 15. He saw Mulk and he said, "Sir, kursi bana do kisi film mein. I'm happy to just cross the frame."
Right.
So
And you went like, I have just the role for you.
just the role for you.
And he's so good. He really,
He's so good.
it really is testament to the fact that a good actor can bring so much, even in a small role in terms of
Ram Kapoor.
footage. Yeah. How wonderful. Yeah.
So I'm lucky now. So after the 2.0 name that you have given to me, Anubhav Sinha 2.0. After that, actors love me.
Yeah.
So they're happy to sometimes do me this favor.
Are you, Anubhav, you've been making movies for so long. Are you able to be objective about the work? Are you able to look at it and see if it's working, or before that even, see if it's done, if it's right? I mean, are you able to see the problems or the strengths of a film?
Past 3 films, yes, but not before that. So I still need to sort of articulate it for myself why. So I don't know if they'll run.
Right.
But
Nobody knows that, right? Yeah.
I know when I see the film, I know this is the film that I set out to make. It's doing what I wanted to do. So that is something that sort of, 80%, 90% there. But obviously nobody knows if it will run or not.
Is that a tough balance to strike nevertheless? I mean, you say that you don't know whether it will run or not, but is it important? I mean, it's very easy in my job to say that this is one of, in the last couple of, I don't think I've seen a better film and a more important film than this in the last several months. I can't remember the last time I saw something that was so significant, that felt so slight, and yet it meant so much. I would imagine in your job, it's not enough to just say that I'm making the most important film, I'm making the best film. Is that a tough, and are you conscious of that while writing and while making, that it not only needs to be very good, but it also needs to work? And is there a way to do that?
I think there's a way to do that. Sometimes we get too carried away by this. I think there is a
because you achieved it with Article 15.
Mulk and Article both have done it for me. So there's a certain degree of compromises that I make without hurting the soul of the narrative, and I have to experiment with that in every film. Like that last scene between with her and the mother-in-law that you were talking about.
It's one of the strongest scenes in the film. Yeah,
but that's the most not that film scene.
Correct.
Very pure, in a very purist, from a very purist standpoint. But I somehow knew that it had to be done in that manner, and so far, 100% of the people who have seen the film have loved that scene.
Yeah.
So there's a certain amount of cliche love that we have.
Right.
And I sometimes don't resist using those, because if it makes the appeal a little wider, it is better for the film.
Right. Do you know what is next? I mean, I know that you've completed one film.
Yeah.
But what is next, and what determines what is next, Anubhav? How much does the reception to a film determine what you'll do next?
No, right now I am in that phase of my career where I single-handedly decide what I want to do next. Right. But what decides what I'll do next is the degree of conviction I have for it, the degree of preparedness I have for it. So the most important thing right now in life is those 80 pages.
Right.
And the moment I am convinced, so I am writing until like 4 days before the shoot, but at some point I start feeling sure that now I will get there.
Right.
And like that has happened on my next shoot today.
Right.
I've been with my writer since 8 in the morning. And today the feeling has happened that yes, we got it. And now it's physics, physicality.
Of just fleshing it out, right?
Yeah. So that is something that I'm shooting from the from April. We're releasing it in October.
Wow.
And Abhi To Party Shuru Hui is ready. That should be out too this year.
Right. So much of who you are, Anubhav, is of course a filmmaker, but it's also a very politically aware person, a citizen. One cannot really separate Anubhav Sinha on Twitter from Anubhav Sinha, the filmmaker. But you're working in a business where so many of your collaborators are not as, I don't know if they're not aware, but they certainly don't take the stands in the way that you do. Is it hard to resign yourself to the reality that these are great actors, these are great collaborators, but your politics is completely different? Are you able to keep those things apart?
No, I cannot. I mean, see, the two questions that you're asking probably. One is that a lot of the people that I deal with are not taking those stands actively,
right?
Which is fine by me, because not everyone is an activist. Not everyone has the temperament to step out of the crease.
Right.
Yuvraj steps out of the crease. Correct. And Dravid doesn't.
Right.
But Dravid is a great player too.
Right.
But so that's fine. But I don't think I can deal with. And today's, the society is so polarized.
Yeah.
I cannot deal with people who are on the other side of the fence, because then it becomes, because it's any kind of, during making films.
Yeah.
The association is very long, and you cannot continuously. But like I'm friends with a lot of people. Some at least, like Ashok Pandit.
Correct.
Who's like somewhere on else.
Right.
But I can sit down and talk to him, and I can spend time with him without, and both of us wouldn't, hurt each other.
Right.
But that doesn't happen very often. So I have those people who I can deal with. But professionally, I don't know. It hasn't. I seem to be. It's not a conscious effort, but I seem to be aligning more with more liberal people.
Right. Finally, Anubhav, what is your hope from this film, and what is your ambition from this film? I mean, it of course it needs to work for more people to see it, but what is the purpose that you made it for, and what will make you happy in terms of what it achieves?
I think this was very well articulated by the committee in the censor board. They saw the film. So they gave me a U certificate, and they said that this should be seen by 8 and 9-year-old people, because they are at that stage where they will make that correction in their lives.
Yeah.
So if we give you a U certificate.
Right.
And I think it will make you uncomfortable, but it will eventually take you to a happier and much more balanced relationship. So it's like a surgery, and it's like a medicine which is you don't like.
Right.
So I think I'm hoping that couples go together.
Yeah.
That okay, we are not the best couple on the planet, but let's go.
Right.
Let's go analyze ourselves.
Right. Many congratulations. It's a very powerful film.
Thank you.
It really got under my skin, and I can't wait to see how others respond, because I do feel that this is a film that makes you very uncomfortable, but it also makes you realize that we are all a part of the problem.
Yes.
Cannot wait to see more, and really enjoying Anubhav Sinha 2.0. Can't wait to see what else is in store. Thank you so much, Anubhav.
Thank you, Rajeev. Thank you so much.